I got my breakfast burrito now. I'm supposed to be going to a creek today, I think, but I don't know when that'll happen. And look how thick she is. I love a breakfast burrito that's like thick and just yummalicious. And so I want to talk about my book. So I've been talking a lot about my book. So basically it's inspired by the alchemical journey. And so a little inference, if you're not familiar about alchemy, it's popular in a lot of spiritual spaces right now. It's the concept at its core of turning one element and being able to transmute it into gold. And so for a long time, the journey of alchemy was a physical journey. So as opposed to what we know about it now as a spiritual creation of the highest self, which is the great work of transmuting the soul into one of like salvation, the original alchemical journey was about the physical nature. So there was a bunch of different ways to go about it, and it was all chemical processes. Alchemy is also the original form of chemistry, so it's actually the originator of what we know as chemistry. All of those, like the periodic table, all comes from alchemy. And so the reason that we have those little symbols, which are the letters for the names of different elements on the table, comes from the symbolism as denoted in alchemy. And so why easily and its truest form, it also comes from Egyptian. I don't know specifically what about Egyptian alchemy really, but I know that it is an Egyptian thing. So think of it as like being highly related to this is avocado salsa. Think about it as being like highly related to original, like really high frequency spirituality. Like, you know how Egyptians were like our old society civilization that had high amounts of connection to the aether, you know, the pyramids, you know, that's like the tea. And so I was incredibly inspired by that, by the idea of elementals and the idea of magic. And I think nowadays, so we're entering a new age of humanity right now, one that's more in contact with embodying spiritual forces as opposed to just mentally understanding and believing things at will. So we go through these ages in our planet of things that denote times of our ages. Morning. This guy came over and I was like, I'm not going to talk with him standing around. No offense to him, but I stopped filming for a bit. So when Jesus was born and when he died, it's what we use to separate in our calendar, like in our years, like between the age before him. So I think it was the age of Capricorn, and so he symbolized the age of Pisces coming into our world. So why that is because Pisces is like the end of all life, I suppose you could say. So now that, and it's the age of believing. So it was all about believing in Jesus. Like that's like the mass populist idea. So like believing in the world as opposed to understanding and knowing it. And you might see lots of different conscious developments happening. So I think one way to really exemplify it is through knowing, is people are now doing a lot more scientific research on spiritual ideas, such as vibration, frequency. Energy healing is something prominent, and if you don't know about it, it will definitely come into your reality a lot quicker. So that's the basis. So the story is set in America, and it's set during the beginning of the age of Aquarius. We have 6 characters that are the main characters to start with. We have the main protagonist of the story, which is who it starts off with. Her name is Catherine Herona. Catherine is a trans girl from Needles, California. She works as a coffee shop barista, and she doesn't know what she wants to do with her life, but she's ready for a change. And it isn't until she meets this girl, and they're both wearing the same shoes, that she realizes that she could have an adventure far deeper than her own. she's post most of her work in her transition, and so she gets this bright idea to go on a grand adventure. The second character we have that's shown in the second chapter is Juliet Green. She's a model in New York City who's very full of grit, and she wants to be the best that there is. Another one of the main characters is Connie Wright. She's a music producer, and she's fiery, intense, and she wants to make her life the best that it is, and she has this fiery temper. And also with each character, they have their own elements. Catherine Herona is the light elementalist. Juliet Green is the water elementalist. And then we have Connie, who's fire. And then we have their counterparts as well. So we have Alex. Alex is a professor at a very prestigious college, and he's a professor of philosophy. He represents the spirit element. But here's where it gets kind of strange. So the story itself is called Unnatural Elements. And so I want to take the ideas presented in alchemy and also in our world. So spiritually, we have earth, air, fire, and water, which are the archetypal elements that make up our reality. But the story pervades the elements as ideas of perception that build upon reality. So we have spirit. Spirit represents the aether, and it also represents the astral realm. And so he's a little bit inspired by the character in, what is it called? Umbrella something? Put it here. Character who's able to, Umbrella Academy. And he's able to talk to spirits and also harness their energy and like embody the spirits as well. So it's inspired by that, but it's not the same thing. Really, he's not really summoning people. He's more about connecting different worlds. And then we have Catherine's opposite, which is Harley Alabond, and he is the dark elementalist. He is a prestigious Russian and Jewish heir to, he has a lot of money, basically. So he's like an heir to high-ranking societal people. Then we also have Sarah Power, and Sarah is the life elementalist. So think about it that spirit and life are both inherent energies. So the reason that I have life here as an element is because life has this essence about it. It's something that's entirely different from all other forms of consciousness, I guess you could say, like the spirit element. Life is an element of itself because there is a grasping and a harnessing of life in our world. And so I wanted to represent that into a way that we can make it into a power and an ability and have it represented by her. She is kind of boisterous like Connie, but she is like more rock and roll and very punk. So she like loves motorcycles, and she gets kicked out of bars and that kind of thing. And her and Alex are the oldest out of the group. So they're all in their late 20s. So early 20s, sorry. Sarah and Alex are in their late 20s. They're a lot older. Alex is like 26. You know, he had to go to a lot of school to become a fucking professor, so. This burrito is so fucking good. So the premise of the beginning of the story is there's a solar eclipse that happened. So this story's in 2024, the eclipse last year. It's based off my spiritual awakening that came after that eclipse as well. And so we follow these characters as they get picked and told that they were to harness these elemental powers. And what they don't realize is that not only is the generation of the world changing, but there's actually more drama afoot than they usually thought. There's different creatures that start popping up all over the world, and then mandala-like anomalies. So as the timeline, and this is reflected through like our real world inspired by timeline shifting and how we can harness our lives and our worlds through manifestation and working with time itself. And so time plays a heavy key in this idea. And another idea I wanted to promote with this story is that instead of someone like losing everything, it's like, my life is so bad, like, and then they finally get rescued and given powers, this story encapsulates a new idea of people like finally finding themselves, and like Juliet's finally on center stage as a model. Like it starts out with her at this big show, and Connie's getting an award for being making music for a show. But things shift rather quickly. And so I wanted to give a little, like, this is my book. So yeah, called Unnatural Elements. It's something that I've been working on for many years, and I hope to present that to you. And they are gifted their powers by a peculiar creature named Hoonbi. Hoonbi represents the element sulfur, strangely enough. He's a seer, claiming to know about the truth of our reality and what's coming next. But he proves to be a bit chaotic, so we don't know if we can trust him at first. Thanks for listening. My name is City. Follow if you want to become one of my citizens, and comment down below if you're excited for my book or if you have any more questions about it or what you would like to see in it. There's a lot more going into it, but I can't wait to share it and eventually for people to read it. So thank you for watching.